The best salespeople or some of the easier people to train are ones that have done the jobs that happened prior to sales.
When you have that confidence, your conviction comes through and people are like, oh, this guy can help me.
I want to lean more into be better at building better culture and providing more support.
Leading by example is the best kind of leadership.
I knew it was going to work. It became the clear choice for a variety of reasons to just go all in.
Our voice, I think, is mostly underutilized by a majority of the people out there, especially in sales or at least high-level communication.
So you need to be you. Don't lose your personality because your experience, who you are, is unique to everyone else.
People shouldn't be surprised with what you can get away with saying to someone if you say it the right way.
Finding ways to make everybody's life easier. So moving people around so that they can focus on what they're good at. Welcome to another episode of Glass.GPT. Today we're here with Stephen Mullins with the Glass and Design Group. And I got to tell you something, because I don't claim to be the best at anything. This is our third time recording this. The first time it got cut off halfway through and had no idea until I watched it back. The second time I pushed a button and fucked it up and recorded audio only. So this is actually the third time. So in today's episode, we're going to go into Stephen's origin story. He's brand new running his company. I think it's been a month or two by now. And towards about midway, this is going to be a reverse interview. So we're going to bring what he's got to the table in the beginning. And for the second half, he's going to ask us any questions that he has on his mind. And we're going to answer them from our perspectives, from our respective, communities and places in our businesses. And we hope that if you're new in this industry and you have some of these same questions, hopefully Stephen can ask them on your behalf, and we'll answer everybody at once. So with that said, Stephen, why don't you tell everybody who you are, what do you do?
I'm going to answer that question, but I was convinced after the second time when the video was lost. I thought you for sure talked to my voiceover coach from 15 years ago that said I had a face for radio. So, which I thought was a compliment at first. And I was like, okay, never mind.
Dude, you're a good looking guy, man.
I appreciate it. Thank you. You did send a very complimentary text after that. So, I didn't take it personally. My name is Stephen. I am the founder of the Glass and Design Group. I wanted to focus on a very, very tight regional territory, so South Orange County here in California, and focusing on architectural residential glass. So wine displays, outdoor guardrails, indoor railings, framed and frameless shower doors, mirrors, tabletops, pretty much that's going to cover it. And it's like, okay, why start a glass business in 2026? There's obviously plenty of businesses to take care of the market that I'm in. I got into glass back in 2017. And so over the past 9 years, I've been learning the industry, learning the trade. And after COVID, we kind of all changed a little bit. I think my takeaway was, hey, let's make our time outside of the house count a little bit more. And I was driving 4, 5, 6 hours a day sometimes. And I realized I was just kind of wasting that, listening to music or listening to podcasts that were entertainment rather than educational. And I made a commitment after COVID, like, hey, I'm going to listen to YouTube videos that are going to teach me about business or selling. I wanted to get better at my job, and podcasts that were about business or selling. And after, 3, 4, 5 years, you've got hundreds of hours of self-education. And I started building a business plan to help the company that I was with. And that ended up becoming my business plan for my business that's we incorporated on January 1st of 2026. So that's the short version in a nutshell of where we are now.
Wow, that's fascinating. So wait, you're 6 months into the new business.
Well, we're 6 months after incorporating, which means I was not planning on going solo and starting my own business this early in the year. Even now, I had no intentions. Maybe September. get myself like at least a 6 month runway or so. So we're really about maybe 90 days in max, if we're being
Oh,
generous. Yeah,
can we, um, and if I'm prying too much, tell me. You will not
sure.
hurt my feelings. And by the way, just for the record, I want to clean this up. I am happily involved with a younger female myself, but female, I don't know why I say yeah, she's younger than me. But I do want to say that I think you're a good looking guy
Thank you.
as well. So
Thank you so much.
you do have a voice for radio, but you have a face for TV as well. So I think you're
Ooh, okay.
triple threat.
I'll
Dude, you're
take it.
easily better looking than both of us, I think.
Um, what what was the catalyst for you? You said possibly September, but you ended up starting earlier. What was it that made you say, I need to do it now?
So, if we're doing honest self-reflection, I'm probably the kind of person that needs to get thrown into the deep end to go ahead and just go 100% forward with one thing. Otherwise, I was going to try to be the best sales manager at the company that I was at, the glass company that I was at before, and try to build this on the side, which would end up being a very poor version of a side hustle, which you can't, you both know you can't build a legitimate business that way. So it just came down to a real fork in the road between myself and the leadership of the other company and what I was going to do in the future. And it was a fairly mutual decision. We decided it was best for all parties involved, to make it a clean break. And I had the business plan ready. I was so confident in it. I'd been working on it for at least 2.5 years, and I tested it with every number, every iteration, every calculation, and I knew it was going to work. So I didn't feel petrified of jumping out on my own. I think the logical part of me wanted that 6 month ramp up time, but it became the clear choice, for a variety of reasons, to just go all in and start now. There's no better time than now to start your future.
Wow, that's incredible, pretty ballsy. I got mad respect for that decision. I want to back it up a little bit because you told me something interesting that you actually used to do voiceovers. So what other kinds of work did you do before Glass?
Right. Yeah. So that was 2017, that we started in Glazing. So right before that, I was, literally a week before. No, I took 2 weeks off in between industries. I had been in finance for 11 years, somewhere around there. And I started when I was like 18 in that. I had been in retail sales before that. Voiceover that was the side hustle. That was, okay, I know people who are in kind of the industry here in Southern California. Let me do that because I think it's fun. And, everyone tells, somebody every now and then, when, I think that's how everybody gets into the voiceover industry is, hey, you've got a voice, you should totally do voice acting. And then, way easier said than done. So I did that off and on for about 10 years. But yeah, finance was my bread and butter for over a decade. And then, made the natural transition over to glass.
I had no idea you were in the voiceover like niche or even as a hobby or a side hustle. I'm extremely fascinated by this. So if we could just drill down on this a little bit more.
Sure.
Because I hear a lot of people, one of the biggest things I hear when I talk about content creation with people is like, I can't stand hearing my voice. I hate it. I hate it. I hate it. Where I'm actually the opposite. I've never really loved my voice, but what I've come to realize through studying myself is our voice, I think, is mostly underutilized by a majority of the people out there, especially in sales or at least high level communication. And when you were doing the voiceover stuff, were you taught or were you kind of learning along like the power that you can actually have when influencing or persuading people with just the tonality of your voice?
There was a combination of both. Ever since I was a young child, it was mostly in church, but I was in front of 100 or more people all the time since I was like 7 years old. So being in front of people and using my voice to speak and get a message across was not new to me. But when you're if we just talk about voice acting specifically real quick, and then we'll get into why it's underutilized, because I totally agree with you, especially in sales. When you're reading someone else's words and there's not really an emotional attachment between you and those words or that message, then it can very easily, and most people do this, it sounds like they're reading. And that loses almost all persuasion. So you really are, it is truly an acting job. So they call it the highest paid acting job in the industry because you get paid by the word. So, but the reason they get paid so much for the word is because they have read through the entire message. It could be a 15-second ad or a 15-second script, but the voice actor has found what the message is. And like you said, tonality, inflection, pitch, pace, modulation, that's going to affect how the listener feels about it. So it's going to sound natural. It's like that person has always believed that, or that voice that you're hearing that's omniscient has always believed the message that they're saying. And that's the power of a true talented voice actor. It's not me. I'm very great at uh, being convicted with my own ideas, but it's hard for me to. I'm just not in the space to put forth someone else's ideas at this point in my life, and that's what happens when you become a business owner. So that just naturally transitions back to sales. If you're a salesman and you don't believe in the result of the product or service that you're selling, then it will sound like you're rehearsing a script, or you're rehearsing something that you were taught to say. And so your voice doesn't have the confidence that you would have when you are trying to make your case with your spouse about where you want to go to dinner, or some plan you should make for your kid, or when you're younger and you're convincing your parents why you want to pursue a certain career. Like, you're convicted in that, and you don't have to act, you don't have to put it on. So if you know enough about your subject, you're an SME, you're a subject matter expert, and you believe in the result. I'm not saying you believe in necessarily the product itself, but hey, I have the ability to deliver a result to you, then you're going to believe in that. You don't have to. No, very few people are going to get emotionally tied to glass just because it's glass. But the result can be magnificent and really emotionally moving. And that's where I think a lot of people just don't get to, because it's a job.
Well said. Well said.
Hey,
I
real
also
quick.
do believe there's a small percentage of people you can get to be extremely passionate about it if you are truly dialed in with your, like you said, your inner voice speaks your outer voice. And then if you
Mhm.
can marry that with the right either deference or inflections, you'd be surprised. And I'm saying this for you know this. People should be people shouldn't be surprised with what you can get away with saying to someone if you say it the right way. The right way. Yeah. Sorry, Brandon.
Totally agree.
No, it's all right. That was really poetic. What I gotta say isn't nearly as cool. But have you guys seen that movie, Cell Block 4, with Chris Rock?
Yeah. Yeah.
So do
No,
you
I
CB4.
remember?
haven't seen it.
Oh,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah.
So there's a guy where he has to go get his buddy, and he's like working a job he hates, and he's working as a gay phone sex operator. And he's like, so yeah, yeah. Anyway, totally unrelated, but I thought that'd be funny to bring up.
Yeah, so he wasn't passionate about it, but had to
Forgot
Yeah,
about that
fake the
movie.
passion.
you gotta have the passion, and so that's part of the reason why I think that the best salespeople, or some of the easier people to train, are ones that have done the jobs that happened prior to sales, because they're confident in the process, they're confident in the way it gets installed, and it's uh like what you just said, like all those words you just described about like voice and inflections. Like, I understand what it means, but I've never, not once, really thought about it as I talk. But like when I do talk to people, they always tell me that like your voice sounds really good, or like the way that you said that, I believe you. And so like I think you just hit the nail on the head and helped me realize like there's inflections and emotion, pauses, emphasis on words that I think that nobody really talks about. So it's kind of cool that it just got brought up out of nowhere here in this conversation.
And that's what I mean about, like, your conviction will come through in what you're confident about. So you're confident that you can deliver or the company that you're representing can deliver a result. You don't have to know every single type or length of screw or gauge of steel that's being involved. But I mean, if you do, yeah, I think that, like you said, Brandon, if you started as installer and all the way up, you understand what it is, so your confidence is more natural. You don't have to be taught necessarily to be confident about it. You just have to be refined in maybe how it's presented, and that's the sales side that's a little bit more emotionally intelligent there. But yeah, when you have that confidence, your conviction comes through, and people are like, "Oh, this guy can help me." They don't really care about the glass or the hardware. They're like, "Oh, this guy in front of me is going to help me get exactly what I want."
I agree with that. People's intuition kicks in because they don't know what they're looking for in shower doors. They're looking, or wine cellars, they're looking to you, the supposed expert, to tell them. And even though they might not understand some of the nuances of the words you're saying, they can pick up on the emotion and the conviction, like you said, on how you say it. And that's massively important. Which begs the question for somebody who was borderline being a professional voiceover actor, why aren't we hearing your voice more often on the social media, which costs $0 to do?
You're holding my feet to the fire there, Keith. You're speaking facts, even if it's difficult to hear. Um,
That's our
that's
job.
a
That's our job in this podcast.
I love it. I love it. That's what I said. I need to get thrown in the deep end. I need to be held accountable. I can't wait on the sidelines. I'll be the wallflower at the school dance. Um, I did do one voiceover that I thought ended up really cool with some mirrors that we did, some bronze mirrors. And I was like, okay, this brought me back. I really enjoyed doing that. But okay, this is not an excuse, just an explanation. I did get rid of all my voiceover equipment. I got rid of the microphone. I got rid of the relay device. I got the software. I got rid of all of it because I was like, that's it. I tried it during COVID, once again to revive it. I'm like, I'm not passionate about it, but I know I can use that in what I'm doing now. And here's, I'm sure no one's ever told you this before. I don't have the time.
Oh. Dude, you're capping. I call bullshit on that.
I know. Yes, that is something that's a goal of mine actually this year. It is for the second half of the year. I just didn't
Well,
want to
we're
say it
going to
out
help
loud
you.
for
Yeah,
accountability.
we're going to help you kick that off with this episode right here, get you jump started. And what microphone are you using right now? Is it just your phone?
Yeah, I've had some difficulties with the audio visual thing. I think we kind of touched on that on the intro. So I'm like, let's just keep it simple. We're just gonna hit record on the phone, and that's it. So iPhone camera, iPhone microphone.
Well, there you
I
go.
don't know. I'm about
You
a
just
foot and a half away. That's it.
you just answered your own question, man. That's all
I
you
was
need.
just
You don't
gonna
need a
say,
microphone.
good one,
Okay.
Brandon.
I
I was
tried to
gonna
set it
say,
up.
All right.
sounds perfect to me.
Damn. I walked right into that. I had no idea what I was even. I thought you were gonna say it for the people, and I'm okay. All right.
No.
I
So
walked into
so
that one.
that Yeah. So like when we have someone that works for us and they leave us like on a bad note, and then another customer or colleague asks me, so hey, what happened to so and so? And I'll say it like as seriously as possible, like, oh, well, he took on a new job following his passion as the VP of testing at an adult toy factory. And I'll say it serious just like that. And it takes like a second for people to catch on, you know? So I do that a lot. And I did that to you. So I'm sorry. But anyway, let's jump into the meat and potatoes. I want to talk about your business, where you're at, how it's going, your first job landed, what's in the works, what's happening right now in your business.
Yeah, I'd love to talk about that. You get a dopamine hit when you talk about stuff that could happen, but we do have booked and completed jobs. We've done two mirror jobs actually, which I never thought would be uh, kind of majority of the first leads that we would get, and they both happen to be bronze mirror jobs, which I thought was kind of cool. So aesthetically they look really good when you're posting it. You'll see when I post in the second half of this year. And then we also got a couple of shower door jobs, and some of them were just, contractors that I haven't talked to since before COVID that still have my number in their phone. And they're like, hey, is this Steve? I've got you saved in my phone as the glass guy. And, went out to Laguna Beach, did a couple jobs there, and installs went really well, half inch opti white or starfire low iron with, protective coating on it, so, uh, brushed bronze or satin brass hardware. So we've got a few in the works also. Again, we're probably less than 90 days in with no marketing spent, zero marketing spent so far. And we have two bids out that are over $150,000 worth of glass. So these are on brand new builds. So tore the home down to the foundation. They're building it back up. So we've got outdoor guardrails. We've got the wine room. We've got the master shower. You've got an office enclosure, an elevator enclosure. So yeah, we've got a couple jobs in the works that we're doing job walks on. That this is fairly new for me, where it's a little bit longer of a cycle, which I love, where you get to see the project from its infancy all the way through to when you're putting the finishing touch on it with the glass. So 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, we've got projects hitting every quarter that we'll be able to do that with, go from the infancy all the way through to the end on some pretty large houses.
Is it fair to say that because you're not doing any paid marketing, and it's obvious to me and everyone else on this call, you're not doing any social media, is all your business coming from the relationships that you have built in your time already in the industry, and people that you've, because we all know when you do a good job and you develop this rapport and trust with people, you almost become friends. And so they want to know what you're doing. Is that where your work's coming from? Or are you doing the old cold calling, which I love to do?
So I'll say three different areas. You mentioned two of them. One is your existing network. So you've got to hit up your contacts. If I want to make money, I've got to contact the people I know that either deal in an industry that needs glass or know people who are in an industry that needs glass, whether it's primary, secondary, tertiary relationships. Like, I know they know somebody who needs glass. The other one has been cold calling. I have cold called probably 10 contractors, so not a large volume, not a huge sample size at all. Totally get that. But we've had two that have converted to in-person site walks, job walks, and a submitted bid, where we are now following up with video calls. So yesterday I had a video sales call with the contractor, with a representative from Renaissance, Brandon, and
Okay. Mhm.
the GC, I think I said that already, the homeowner and the designer. 2.5 hours we were on the phone, answering all their questions about Renaissance and the bronze shower enclosure. That's got 8 units. That's got 2 railings. That's got a windscreen, 3 frameless shower doors, a frame shower door, a wine display, and an office. And it's always a good sign when they're willing to spend a couple hours with you exploring your bid. So so cold calling has I'm not counting my chickens before they hatch, but we've had success cold calling some contractors that were very impressed by either our presentation or our just the way we present ourselves. And then another one has been my personal network, that I don't know if people know people who need glass, but I've gotten to know people at a local wine shop, and they just built their storefront, so they know the designer who knows the contractor that worked all that up, and they're going to be working on some projects. So gotten in touch with them. The dad on my son's travel ball team, baseball team, he works for a large developer out here, and he's got contacts throughout the industry. So personal networking, professional networking, and then just old fashioned cold calling. Got to do it all.
Brandon, can I have
Do.
a follow-up? If you've only done 10 cold calls and 2 of them got to a video call and then an insight meeting, which I'd put 75% or greater chance of those closing because they invested that much time in you. 20% of the cold calls that you're making lead to meetings. I would be livid if I knew that you weren't doing at least 5 to 10 cold calls a day. Now,
I
the
feel like I'm just
only
disappointing my parents on this call.
absolutely. Well, and when you get to watch this back, it'll hopefully kick you in the pants to do it because those are amazing odds. There's a guy, he's kind of flashy on social media, older guy, Dan Pena, said, you're 2,000 cold calls away from being a millionaire. And most people can't wrap their head around that, but it really comes down to every now and then you call someone and they'll say to you, oh man, you called me at the right time. And you're like, it's timing, it's timing, it's timing. But just by the sheer volume of doing cold calls, you're creating that timing component. And it sounds like you're having very good luck with that. And, if a gambling person would say you never leave a heater, you got an awesome voice. You got an amazing success record so far on cold calling. Just stands to reason maybe that's where you should be doing a lot of your marketing is just cold calling.
Yes, that is probably because those are 2 of the one of those is over 150,000 bid, regardless of what option they go with, and then the other one is for 3 shower doors. It's going to be at least 25,000 on those 3. So they're in Corona del Mar. I mean, it's a very wealthy area. You've got
Yeah,
a
but you still have
co-founder.
to call. You still have to have the balls to call and know what to say. And you did that.
Yeah, yeah. People want to develop relationships. They don't want to feel like they're being sold to. But
Well,
I want to give them a pretty face and a pretty voice, and people, I think they like that.
sounds
Dude,
easy.
yeah, you definitely got the voice for it. So like when I first got into sales, like I was pit against like other sales people, and like we're all played against each other. Basically, at our last company, who has the highest numbers, blah blah blah, who can do the most cold calls. And so, like when I first got in it, like I did so many cold calls. I had like a spreadsheet that I built that tracked it, and like if you looked at all my cold calls, they were like everyone else had this many, and I had like this many over a span of months, like hundreds of them. So I 1000% believe in the power of cold calls, especially when you're first getting started. So what's going to happen is eventually you're going to get so busy that the cold calls are going to start going down like this, and then all your relationships are going to keep the float going. But the snowball has to build first. And so like nowadays, I don't cold call at all. I have like salespeople that do that now. But what I do is when I'm going from job site to job site to either do like an in-person meeting or a measure, what have you. If I see a custom home that's being built that looks like needs glass, I'll just literally walk in there and find the superintendent, say what's up, hand him a card. Sometimes that's it. If they seem like they're busy, or I'll just give them the pitch, and usually it works. Like sometimes it doesn't, but a lot of times it works because, like Keith said, it's all about timing. So there is no time lost if you're between job sites to attempt to speak to a new customer. You got your cards, it's all good. But eventually when you start getting enough jobs going on and you're building your business and you can make content, and in my opinion, the best kind of content is building in public. Eventually you'll have people reaching out to you. Now, full disclosure, I work with Steven as a consultant. I helped him with his process, showing him how we do things at Bear and Glass, full transparency. And I didn't ask him to do that. He reached out to me because of the content that I put out, right? So I think that just shows you the power of content will compound everything that you just described above.
And then just to piggyback on that and double down on that, I don't know how many other corporate cliches I can say, but we'll lean into it. Um, the content only works if it's true, authentic, and genuine, and that's what yours is, Brandon. I mean, you could act like an expert, all you want to try to get as many views or followers or try to get leads in, but when we actually spoke one-on-one, not on any sort of media platform, it was exactly what I thought it would be. I'm like, okay, this guy knows need his knowledge on this, and it's exactly what I thought it would be. So I think many people have said before, like, share your story, do what you know is true. Don't try to pretend to be somebody else. So that's what I've been struggling with on developing ideas for making content is I see what everyone else is doing. I'm like, oh, I need to do all that, but I don't feel comfortable doing it. And I've had a couple people say, like, you need to be you. Like, don't lose your personality because your experience, who you are, is unique to everyone else. And the right people will be attracted to that. So, I mean, I think that's why it worked between all three of us, really, and other relationships that we have.
It's, I would like to throw an idea out there for content. One thing that I've learned, and Brandon knows this too, is, and I don't know that I've even found my niche yet in social media because I'm addicted to it. I love it so much. I'm still like all over the map with the different types of content that I design. But now hearing your story for the third time, one of my favorite pieces of content to watch on some of the platforms is when they say, come with me in the day of the life of me, or come with me where I go here. And what they actually do is film different segments of the job or the measurement or whatever it is. Then you come back and splice it and you actually talk over it. So you're not talking to the camera. You're just talking to the microphone like we're doing right now to a video that you made. And so you're doing your own voiceover on your own work. Those are bangers because you get to almost, like you were talking about earlier, you don't know the true vision of the editor when he was writing. Like, not only do you know it, you filmed it. So you know the exact context that you want to add to it, and you can do it over and over again with your voice. I feel like that would be a real good one for you.
I love
It,
that content, by the way. If I'm scrolling and that is,
Yes,
follow me in the daylight, like I'm stopping and watching.
I do too. I can't help it. It's so
I don't know
engaging.
why, I just love it.
Yeah.
okay, can I be honest with you guys? And this is
Yes.
a hot take. Everyone's probably gonna hate me
You
for
should
this.
always be honest, by the way. You don't have to preference that.
Well, I know, but it's kind of a shocker. I don't even like going on social media myself. I don't
What?
like going on Instagram. I just don't like scrolling. I just don't like how like every 2 seconds there's a hook. It's in your face. The thoughts are like really short. So I myself am a YouTube guy, right? That's why I'm investing so heavily in this YouTube channel. I myself am into the depth, right? Points, education, kind of like a podcast. And so and the reason, and I say this to say that I think what you just said is a great idea, but what you just described is a YouTube video. So a YouTube video is just a guy with a microphone staring at a camera, describing stuff, and the stuff that he's describing gets overlaid on top as B-roll, right? And so what I might suggest is that you film your day, and at the end of the day, when you go to do your voiceover, rather than just recording your voice, have the phone look at you and occasionally have your face saying stuff and then splice in the B-roll. And that is essentially exactly what a YouTube video is.
Yeah. Yeah, I
I
totally agree.
can't
I
believe.
really like long form too. Like I
Yeah.
said, listen, driving all the time, not anymore, but driving hours a day. I would listen to 2-hour podcasts. Like long form, I think does build a lot deeper relationships with your audience too. So I think it's a lot of work. It feels like more than the short stuff, but your ROI on that is unmatched.
Okay. Not proud of it, but man enough to say it. I doom scroll like crazy. I'm so addicted to it. I can't stomach it. And I love it. I love
I'm
it.
probably somewhere in the middle.
Yeah.
I don't get on Instagram every day to consume. I will get on there to see some ideas. Like I've got sheets of ideas um, that are unfulfilled. But
Yeah, man.
I'm not on there all the time. But I'm probably somewhere in the middle between you two. You guys are extremes, which is why it makes you guys awesome.
Aw.
Well, we appreciate that. So I think we're at about the halfway point. So why don't we go ahead and turn the tables, and you can go ahead and ask us anything you want, and we'll answer it as best as we can. I always like to let Keith go first because my brain doesn't think as fast, and I need time to like calibrate a good answer. So yeah, go ahead and ask away.
I love the self-deprecation to get to go second. That's perfect. It's so we're in June, right? And we've got half the year left from quarter for whatever's left of Q2 through the next couple quarters, 3 and 4 of this year. I mean, gosh, it's just flying by. What is your focus, whether it's professionally, individually for your company, or for the company as a whole? What's going to be the biggest lever that you can pull for, or focus that you can have for the rest of the year?
You know, that's a really good question. The easy one is support for our team. We're all three of us are in different positions within our business, but culture and culture building, no matter how many employees you have, is always a massively important thing, because setting a level of expectation on your people is massively important in the very beginning, because it in a reasonable expectation. I think too many business owners set these expectations that, well, God, why can't he just work like I do? And I constantly have to remind myself, these people don't own the business. They don't stand to gain as much as I do. So having a level of expectation. So that being said, giving them enough tools and support to help take some of the stressful things that they're doing off the table so they can focus on what they're actually good at and what they enjoy, to keep them in a positive spirit to want to keep coming and performing at a high level. And I think too many business owners overlook that. They say, well, I'm the owner, you're the employee, you need to be working hard so I can, enjoy all the fruits of everybody else's labor. And that's just not, Gary Vee talks about this, and I love when he preaches this because it's so true. We actually work for our employees. And I think that's a tough thing for a lot of people to say because their ego and pride's in the way. And so this year, I'm trying my best. I'm not the best at it, but I do it by showing I'm the first one to show up every day. I'm the last one to leave. And, I don't need to do that, but I want to do that because I feel like the teammates and employees respect me more because they know that I'm never going to ask them to do something I'm not willing to do myself. There's fucking nothing I'm not willing to do in this business. So I want to lean more into that to be better at building better culture and providing more support for all of our team members.
I mean, I love that thought, because that's like the general that leads from the front rather than from the back, right? Just pushing the troops up, go fight, and sacrifice yourselves.
Yeah.
Time is our most valuable resource, and that's what you're giving to your team. And they're like, okay, he's in this fight with us. And
Yeah.
I feel like, coming from both sides of it, having been an employee for the majority of my career and now just starting to be an owner, I feel like that's such a massive lever that you can pull. Like that time that you're giving isn't wasted. That's very valuable resources that gets buy-in, and people will work harder for you without you having to ask them, because of the example that you set. So
I think
I love
there's
that.
employees out there that say, why the hell should I care about the business if the owner doesn't even?
Yeah, it's a great question.
And I think there's a lot of people out there that would say that. And their work will reflect that.
Yeah.
Agreed. So I 1000% agree that leading by example is the best kind of leadership. There's that like meme that you see all the time where it's like the difference between a boss and a leader, and the boss is behind with a whip, but the leader is like leading the charge, right? Yeah, I totally get that. And I 1000% agree. So what I'm personally focused on for our team over at Baron Glass is like finding ways to make everybody's life easier. So like moving people around so that they can focus on what they're good at and not be so stressed out by not worrying about this thing or that thing. Just kind of like moving pieces across the board to make sure everybody's happy. There's a lot of people that butt heads, so we got to try to like squash and get along, which is a lot harder than it may seem to make that happen sometimes. But what I'm specifically looking to do is like multiply our output by utilizing technology. And what I mean by that is like new systems, new softwares. I'm always trying new things. And one of the things that I'm going to try pretty soon is using Guthrie AI to help us bid some more commercial work so we can try to increase our workload. And another thing that I'm doing is I'm going deep into AI myself by way of Claude. And I've figured out how to connect my email to it. I figured out how to connect our accounting software to it, and I'm learning how to use the projects. And so I'm just trying to leverage AI to make all the repeatable tasks basically automated, so that we can focus on making sure the quality of our installs and our products is like far superior, rather than like being bogged down by mundane repeated tasks. So that's my goal, is to increase our output by way of technology.
So, I mean, that leads directly into what my next question was be. Like, we have to talk about AI. It's 2026. We have to talk about it. So, we saw what Baron Glass is doing. What's my architectural glass? What's my shower door using AI for, Keith?
A couple of different things, and I've used this example in the past. Probably the most like profitable example would be using our takeoff sheet. So every takeoff sheet ever produced for every single shower door we've ever done has been scanned into our software system that we use, SAP. And this on our takeoff sheets, we've allocated numbers, or for instance, a single door is an MSD 10, a door panel is an MSD 20, a door panel 90-degree turns MSD 90. And so our software has thousands of takeoff sheets with all these different codes, and they're tied to the addresses and the zip codes and the type of payments that they've made, whether it's a credit card or check. And after exporting all these takeoffs and running them through an AI program, it really started showing these collections of like it's like a big dope chart, almost predicting the future. For instance, like we didn't know this, but there's a zip code in our area here in Naples, a particular zip code where we sell door and panels at a rate of a multiple of like 10 times any other SKU in any other zip code. And after kind of drilling down further, it's more of I don't want to say a senior living area, but there's a lot more elderly people in this zip code. And come to find out, a lot of them have families that come down, or a lot of them use their showers, but they don't use the tubs. And they ended up ripping out their 5-foot tubs and converting them into 5-foot shower stalls. And so after getting this data, we started doing direct marketing in that zip code, whether it be through the mail or through digital. Those exact showers, those 5-foot door and panels, we show a before picture. Is this your shower with a tub? Looking to get rid of it, turn it into a 5-foot shower stall. And the ROI on that particular marketing campaign was astonishing.
It feels like cheating. It's like you already know the answers to the test.
It predicts it's almost like it's predicting the future for you based on historical data that you've already collected. The problem is, I think a lot of small businesses feel like, I don't need to be, I'm going to a job site. I took my measurements. I closed the deal. I put the order in, and then they're done with it. And they don't really see the value in that information because they only have one, or they only have 10. They're not thinking about a year from now when they have maybe 200 of them. And now once you have a larger sample size, you can use that to your advantage. So the AI is massively important, but just like any other system out there, it's only as good as the information you can put into it or ask it. One other example, I will say, we started doing we opened up a secondary showroom up in the Carolinas, and we wanted to ship all of our own glass up there, which actually really doesn't make sense from a logistical standpoint. Like sending a truck from Fort Myers up to the Carolinas just doesn't make sense. But we wanted it to be our product. So I asked Claude or Chat, like 3 of them, here's the route that we're traveling up there. Then I inputted all my social media handles, LinkedIn, Facebook, and Instagram, and I asked it to scrub and pull all the glass shops that are currently engaged in my content that are within 20 miles of the route that we're going all the way up there. And it gave me a huge laundry list of these people. And we started calling on these folks to see if we could manufacture their glass so we could kill two birds with one stone. We're going up there anyway. And it would, the more glass we sell in our factory, the better yields we get, the more buying power we have, et cetera, et cetera. And that was massively successful.
You made what didn't make sense. You made it make sense.
Absolutely. And that was with the help of, not that I couldn't have done it with Google, but it would have taken me months to compile all that data. When this took, 45 seconds, it's mind blowing how powerful it is.
Yeah, we talked about how time is such a valuable resource earlier, and that saves you all that time. So that money is going to be somewhere. It might not show up on the balance sheet, but that shows there. But also, I think it was an episode of this podcast where you and Connor Sell were talking about how he uses AI, and I hope this comes through in a way that helps the demographic of people, or the people who are in the camp of, I don't understand it, so I don't really like it, or I don't know it, so I'm not going to use it. That camp, the business owners that are already good at what they do, and we're just going to talk about glazers, the ones that are already good at what they do, they're using AI not to make some weird ad that has an AI speaking blonde with blue eyes and other attractive things that gets people to stop. They're not using it for that. Like, you don't have to worry about that sort of thing with AI. AI is exactly what you were using it for, and what Connor was saying. You're creating things quicker. Those business owners are using AI like jet fuel. They were going, on high octane before, 91, 93. You got 93 octane over there, I think, in Florida. They were using that, and now they're on jet fuel, and it is just accelerating their growth. And they're seeing that in their bottom line.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So real quickly, one thing that I've been using Claude for, I've been going deep, is I manage a lot of different brands on social media, and I'm able to build what's called a project inside of Claude. And inside of a project folder, I can essentially train Claude to have the brand voice of whatever brand that is. And so when I make videos for my clients, I can have Claude, like, I don't even have to feed it to it. Claude will go into my computer, it'll read those transcripts, it will automatically generate captions in their voice that are suitable for whatever platform they post on. It will then go and post them on every single platform on a set schedule. And this is all stuff that I used to do manually just a month ago. And now it's like almost automated, not quite there, but yeah, a month ago. But now, yeah, so that's just one use case. And what I'm doing right now is we're actually in the middle of a building purchase. We're going to close on July 25th at Baron Glass. And so I'm having Claude now, instead of me copying and pasting my email chain and feeding it into chat, I just tell Claude to go read my emails, tell me in plain English what this real estate jargon means, and it saves all my documents for me, and it builds me a tracker. It sends me reminders to make sure that we're on top of all of our dates, right? So that's what Claude is doing for me right now. And very soon, as soon as I'm done with that, I'm going to give it the API of QuickBooks, our accounting software, and I'm going to attempt to do something magical like what Keith just described. So I think that the possibilities are limitless. It's just, what direction do you want to go? You just literally ask Claude, how do I make this happen? It'll give you step-by-step instructions. And eventually, just like riding a bike, you'll be, oh, okay, now I know what to do. I know how to prompt. I know what it's capable of, what it's not capable of. So yeah, I'm going deep in AI, and I definitely want to have a follow-up episode about AI specifically down the line. Are you using AI currently?
Yeah, we're using AI for a couple things. I'm wearing a lot of different hats at the moment. So I'm using Claude. I've been using actually Manus quite a bit to create quotes or bids. So when I'm on site, like, for me, big believer in speed is king. So I think the company that gets their bid out the quickest probably has a higher chance of winning that bid. So when I'm on site, I have Manus in, it thinks quite a bit because I give it a lot of information. I'll take pictures or video, and I'll, give it my brand voice and, my logo, how I want it to look. And I'll have it develop a very robust, thorough bid right there on site. I'll show it to the designer or the contractor or even the homeowner, depending on who the client is, and say, hey, is this what you're looking for? I can send this right over. And that is such an impressive thing that you could never have done last year or years ago. Like that's one thing that directly contributes to us getting some higher close rates.
Hold on. I gotta stop you right there. I don't know what Manus is, so can you explain to me and everyone else listening what exactly is Manus and how did you train it to do that? Like, what is like? Just break it down.
So Manus, I haven't looked into too much of the how it was developed, but you can, what I found it to be way better at by orders of magnitude over Gemini chat, especially, or even Claude, is its ability to develop a very detailed document that looks professional and doesn't look it doesn't have that font or that look of AI that someone who's using AI would recognize. Oh, you just did this through AI. It looks very natural, looks very human, looks very professional, but it shows you the code as it's putting it in. It explains what it's doing. So really, I use it for a lot of documents I want to produce. That it will
Okay,
develop. It will develop a website, an interactive website for you that you can take that URL and add it to your own website, and it will be specifically for a client. You can send them that link. They click on it, and it'll say, "Okay, tell me more about this unit, or tell me more about this proposal. What's included in this option?" And there's drop down menus. You can click and say, all right, if they're on their phone, call Steven right now to ask him a question, and they'll click that button, it'll call me. Or they'll say, email to approve the bid. They'll click on it, it'll take them to their email with my email as the recipient. So there's those sorts of things for, specific types of clients that I found really ups the level of sophistication in the presentation.
that is cool. So for a second, I thought that you take a video of a shower door and feed it into Manus and it spits you out a quote and a proposal without you doing anything. That's what it sounded like. I'm like, holy shit, I got to get me this Manus.
Yeah, well, I haven't tried that with that specifically yet. I think I'd have to get with Connor, who with his app, and kind of marry those things together. I'm sure that could be done.
Yeah,
But no, not that miraculous yet. But I'm sure soon.
not
I think we all know that.
yeah, yeah. It's soon. Yeah, it's still impressive.
Yeah. And so, like you said, we could go on for several episodes about AI. But that kind of leads into trends, companies using AI more, hopefully for the right reasons, and then in the right way that will, develop better processes or better efficiency. In trends on the product side, this is a fun topic for me. What trends do you see, or what's a sneaky dark horse trend that no one's talking about, even in the glazing industry, that could either take the industry by storm, or just wow, that's taking up a lot more of the market than it used to, or it's brand new? Do you guys see anything as a trend, residential, commercial, glass, hardware, design, whatever?
Yeah, I think there's always going to be trends, and actually, to even dive deeper than that, I think it really depends on, like here in South Florida, I always feel like we're a couple years behind a trend that might have started out on the West Coast, out in California. I don't know why that is,
Yeah.
but it just seems to be the case. Even back in 2003, I remember the first time I heard of vibrant brush bronze, and Polar invented this color on its own, but no hardware company had it. And we were all scrambling to find platers to plate our hardware and stuff. And then, then brass was gone and oil rub bronze came in, and then black came in and these gridscapes. But here in South Florida right now, the the glass railings, and I would even say curved glass railings, seem to be coming back in, because I had bid curved glass railings a decade ago. Like one of the biggest jobs we ever did was almost 10 years ago. It was about 8 years ago. And then I've gone, I got to do it, 6, 7 years without bidding one. And I've gotten 4 in the last like 2 months. So glass railings here in South Florida are big, interior and exterior, because I think the property values escalated so much, and mainly because of the location and the views that can be had from, these properties. And the one thing that can preserve the view better than anything else when it comes to guardrails or life safety is all glass railings. And so all these older buildings that were done with the aluminum kind of jail bar post are now converting them because they have this big coffer of HOA money in their system. The property values are starting to duck back down a little bit, so they need to reinvest. So they're either painting, switching out windows if they haven't already to impact, and then all glass railing. So right now that's a big trend here in South Florida.
Yeah. So I agree. I used to do curve railings all the time, partially because we were the only ones in our state that knew how to do them by way of simple math, chord height, geometry, rise, run. So I understood all of these things like long before we ever even opened a computer and tried to learn CAD. So I've been doing curve railings a long time and actually do less of them now than I did back then, to your point. But, I get a few here and there. But one trend that I've been seeing here in Colorado that has to do with glass railings specifically is that, usually when you provide a glass railing, less is more. You try to do no top cap if you can. But what I've been noticing is that like everybody wants those like floating treads, those really thick wooden floating treads, and they want the glass to be attached to the side with like the wood cap on the end, so you don't see any hardware whatsoever. But then the trendy part of that is they usually have their carpenter provide a wood top cap, a continuous wood top cap that matches the wood of the treads. And I think it looks phenomenal. It's a trend that I saw start here in Steamboat Springs maybe 3 or 4 years ago, and now it seems like every single job that we do or most of them are done in that way. And other than that, I think that the grid systems and the heavy metal systems are like really hot right now. We do a ton of what I call like fake still systems, where someone doesn't want to pay for a steel door, so we do like Prima hinges, pivot hinges with like an 1.5-inch channel on it. I mean, to anybody else, it looks like a nice thick steel door. We do tons and tons of grid systems. FHC actually just came out with satin brass and brushed bronze flat bars, so you can now do your grid doors in satin brass or brushed bronze, which is pretty dope. I think we got one of those. And then there's also the solid bronze doors, which we were just talking about, Renaissance bronze. We're actually doing one right now. We're going to finish the install tomorrow. I'm going to go hang it up with my buddy. We just put the frame in. I didn't trust the little clips that they sent, so we're like we wedged it in there and we're siliconing it. So tomorrow we're gonna go hang it, and of course I'm gonna take some pictures and some videos of that.
All right, so maybe I'll fly you down, you and your buddy, when we get our Renaissance job.
Hey man,
Show
we're
us how
ready.
to install it.
Yeah.
It's so funny that you mentioned that trend about the railings with the wood cap. I just put a bid on a job on Monday where they've got 3 of those, and I thought it was just so interesting. It's a departure of what has been the trend for the last several years. So it's interesting that you mentioned that, because we're starting to see that over
No,
here
I'm all
too,
for it
along with
because
the grids.
I hate cutting steel railings. I hate doing miters on a steel railing. I hate having to hire a steel fabricator to do a continuous on a commercial job. So I'd rather just go in there, fasten the glass on, and then let the carpenter, finish it up.
I love it.
Mhm.
Totally agree. We want some more
All right.
questions?
All right. No, I think we're going to land the plane here. So I'm just going to flip it around. And I just got one last question for you. Out of all the hardware companies that you buy from, who is your absolute favorite and why?
So I'll preface this. I hope it's not taking away the value of what I'm about to say, but I've purchased hardware from 4 different companies, and there's only one that, even before I purchased a single thing from them, before we actually conducted any business together, they were on my side, ready to promote. They were a true day one. They are ride or die. Met with the chief marketing officer, salesperson. They got me with a representative from a glass company that they work closely with. All as a service to glazers, and that's true. That's what their message is, and that's what really happens in reality. So there's only one for me. I'll even
Oh,
I'll even take my hat off. We'll put that marketing aside. Frameless hardware company, baby. FHC.
Let's
If
go.
you go on my LinkedIn, you'll see the same hat that I was helping a friend move in. Move a massive fridge. Anyways, Frameless hardware company. Andrew Herring, Garrett Greaves, Michelle Iglesias. There's a ton of names that I'm forgetting. I feel like I'm accepting an award speech or giving a speech for an award, but you can play me off anytime you want. But they've been fantastic. They make you feel like you are the only glass company in town, and
Yep.
they want you to be the biggest and best and the most successful. They promote nonstop, and they don't ask for anything in return. They didn't ask for this. They this is just
Well said,
honestly answering your
Stephen.
question.
Well said.
awesome. Yeah, totally agreed. We talked about this many times. So yeah, I guess that's a wrap. Thank you for watching. Andrew, I need one of those hats that he has. Send me one of those, please. I'll rock it.
Samesies. Samesies.
All right. Thanks for watching, guys. Peace.